This is Leisha Holmes, and I'm your host on the Recruiters Recruitment podcast brought to you by Hoxo Media. And I'm really excited to welcome to our channel today someone that I've been connected to for quite some time. And in fact, we've got a very interesting offline story to tell about how we first met. There's a very famous story of when I first met this gentleman. This is Alex Coates, who is an account executive for the incredible JobAdder. How are you today, Alex?
I'm very good. Little warm, as I'm sure you are. We've had about 29 degrees heat up in the northwest, which is unheard of. But yeah, I'm good apart from that.
For our global listeners, those who are not based in the UK, when we have anything above 20 degrees in the UK, we call it a heat wave. And as we record this in September 2021, we have actually tipped 30 degrees in some parts of the country. And we're not designed to cope with it because we have no aircon. We all typically live in houses where, you know, it's double glazing, etc. So yeah, we've all been sweating it out, haven't we? Just as everybody goes back to school and college, we can't go and sunbathe.
Surrounded by tower fans at our bedroom office desk.
I know, and I actually have got the most incredible fans. However, obviously, while I'm recording my podcast, I can't have it on because you wouldn't actually hear me because it sounds like an aeroplane, and it's rather fabulous. So I might go and stand over it when I finish recording, especially because I've got a Marilyn Monroe style dress on. But thank you so much. And yes, we met when you were still doing a natural recruitment role, but obviously you've moved into a technology platform. So do you want to give us a little potted history as to how we know each other and why we're talking today?
Do you know what? I completely forgot for a split second that was how we first met.
Yeah.
It seems like such a long time ago. So yeah, the background of myself, we met, you're referring to when I worked at Finlay James, which is an amazing IT sales recruitment agency based up in Manchester. Mm-hmm. And we met when I was, so I must have been mid-20s. Didn't know what I was doing.
You were 6 months in, Alex, 6 months.
I was 6 months in. Yeah, I remember. And I remember Sarah or John, the owners of Finlay James, said, there's a lady who'd like to meet you. And you said, how's it going? And I loved life. I'd never been burned by anything bad in the recruitment industry. I just said, it's amazing. I love it. Love speaking to candidates, love helping clients. And then, yeah, we've obviously stayed in touch. I progressed through to a senior consultant, then obviously managed a team at Finlay James, and then took a step, stayed within the recruitment industry, and obviously went over the other side of the fence, so to speak, and moved into recruitment technology, which is where I'm at today.
Yeah, absolutely. So working for JobAdder, and obviously we need to do a huge hello to our friend over in Australia, Greg Savage, who I know is a huge advocate and supporter of JobAdder, and I think possibly non-exec director. So Greg's been on our channel a couple of times, both during 2020 and 2021 as well. And he's somebody that we've got huge admiration and respect for. So a big hello to Greg from everybody here at Key Recruitment and the Recruiters Recruitment podcast. So I've invited you on today because I do want to talk about technology in a broader sense, because I think that as recruiters, as well as having to adapt and become marketeers and social media specialists, we've all had to kind of take ourselves off the ark and lose the dinosaur mentality, both recruiters old and new, and sort of develop a knowledge of technology. So what, you know, for you, obviously you came into recruitment, like you say, you know, in recent years where technology was already kind of part and parcel of what we do. So how do you think technology actually aids recruiters? How does it help us do our job better, first and foremost?
It's a good question. It doesn't always aid you. I actually think where technology comes in best is it's got to be the right technology, first of all. And let's just we'll strip this back, because obviously I have these conversations every single day, every single week, every single month with hundreds of agencies in the UK. And I always try and put myself in their shoes. Obviously it helps because I've been there, you know, I've been I've walked the coalface, so to speak. And I always think, there's a lot of buzzwords going around the industry at the minute. I get it. You know, we want to automate everything. Absolutely. You know, you hear it, automation, AI, machine, like we all hear it. And even I used to think before I joined JobAdder, I don't even know what that means, but it sounds good. And it sounds like something I want to do too. I think when we strip it back though, I always think when I was a consultant, look, technology, if you're going to implement a new piece of technology, it has to add value. As in, you have to be able to measure the ROI, but what are you actually getting back? Because there are lots of niceties and cool features, functionality bits you can add to your day to day. But I always think, especially when I worked as a recruiter, when I look back, if I was ever going to implement a piece of technology that's going to help me as an actual recruiter doing the hard yards, so to speak, is it's amazing. And it still fascinates me now how it's an extremely hard-working industry. I think everyone knows that. You know, I've moved a kind into software, if you like, but it's still a very well thought of industry. You know, anyone I speak to or recruit, you know, he's obviously a grafter. You know, you hear people talk like this because it is, you've got to work hard. What's interesting though, when you look back, is how much time did I use to spend actually recruiting? And then it's a little tongue in cheek, but I used to say to my team as well, actual recruiting is speaking to your candidates and clients. That's recruiting, because you're networking, you're adding value, you're listening, you're understanding all the rest of it. And it's a serious question. I'm sure everyone can, in fact, no one can hand on heart. I've not met anyone who can say, I come in the office at 8:45, I leave at 6. That's 8 hours with me on my lunch break doing recruiting. And when you actually strip back, it used to frighten me. To be honest, I probably did an hour in the morning, hour in the afternoon. I hope my former employers aren't listening, but it wasn't out of not out of choice. But it was sometimes whether it was the CRM or the manual admin, you have to do the follow-ups. All of a sudden, it just disrupted what you're brought in to do on day one. To build relationships, to understand clients' needs, and then find the perfect candidate to help them and match that. When you join the dots together, obviously. So I think when it comes to technology, I do think you've really got to implement something that, what are our bottlenecks, what are our challenges, what are our pains? Let's establish it, and what's the impact it's having. Then because there's loads of technology now. There's so many amazing pieces of kit. Even I look there because I obviously go to events and I speak on podcasts, and you see them all and you hear like, wow, and I always think, God, I'd end up with almost just too much. Where'd you go? And I think, and this isn't, and I've been saying to you previously, this isn't a plug for JobAdder at all, but I do think that the core comes down to your CRM. There's two parts here. The CRM, that's, this is your central focus. It's your central point. This is where all that data needs to be housed. Yeah. Then it's how we complement that, which we've talked about previously. The other big one, again, which I'm sure we'll get onto, is the LinkedIn piece. Every recruiter obviously lives in LinkedIn. If you've got a way of joining them together, that's going to streamline everything.
Definitely. I love your pragmatic answer. And, as someone that's both employed and placed recruiters for almost 20 years in Rec to Rec, I think that an observation is that you get two types of recruiter generally, and I'm being really generic. You get one, typically somebody like me, who is all those things you've said. I'm the influencer. I want to be on the phone 8 hours a day. To me, that's why I came into the sector. I like to go meet people. I want to create opportunity. I do not want to be sat there typing in algorithm savvy things. I don't want to be putting in industry sector salary. I'm not interested in doing all that and populating it. And then you get the opposite. And I have many years ago, not nobody that's with me now, but I did have somebody working for me who would have happily done the opposite and sat there all day populating my database. And it was amazing. You'd have, all these target people, and you think, yeah, but you haven't got any interviews going on. You haven't made any money. So I think it's, and I'm being specifically divisive there, but I think technology can be our best friend, because it should streamline things, obviously from a data capture point of view. That is your unique selling point to your clients, because that's where your candidates are. But equally, from a GDPR perspective, where you're keeping all your data, or your terms signed, your proof of work and everything else. So, but equally, it shouldn't then stop you actually doing the recruitment side. So I think it's about simplifying it.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you said there's two types of recruiter. And I get, look, there's lots of different types of recruiters, but I understand the sentiment there. And for someone like yourself, you require, or historically you would have required, technology that's going to facilitate that sort of, this is the energetic, I go out meeting people, I go networking. And you're similar to me in, that's the best version of Leisha and Alex. That's what we should be doing more of.
Yep.
Then if I said to you, well, I need that note going on your CRM, or, you need to go and type, well, Alex, I've just been speaking to someone for an hour. Well, I need the notes on the CRM, which is fine. Obviously you do, because remember in a month's time what you were talking to, Mr. or Mrs. CEO about. But then we talked about the mobile app and the voice to text, something like that. That is a technology I would recommend for you, because as you're on the go, that is in between meetings, just met the most amazing candidate, he or she's done but it doesn't kill you. And I used to say to people like this, I'm quite passionate about it, don't kill that sort of, if you make a good call, on to the next call. If you make another good call, what you don't want to do is interrupt that with admin. And I get it though, and it's a double-edged sword, because the owners of the business, and I completely get it, I need it all logged, Alex. I have to have it logged. I get it, of course you do, but we have to facilitate it and make it as easy as possible for the consultant. Imagine being a consultant, you've got to make 50 calls. After each call, it's type, but bless them. Like I used to have to do it. It's hard.
It is, but as a business leader listening to this, you're thinking, but I don't want all that intellectual property in that person's head. I need it on the system.
Absolutely.
But let's talk about voice, because voice is, I think, and I'm saying this so I'm not doing any plug because I don't get any kickback. It, for me, was one of the most amazing eureka sort of moments when we looked at JobAdder. Voice is the most impactful way you can do your job as a recruiter right now. So when I'm obviously going to give my 2 penneth on it when you've done it, but talk to me about how JobAdder have used voice to make yourself as a CRM system stand out, and why you think voice will define the future of recruitment.
So I'll tell you the first time I saw the voice to text feature. I remember being given a demo, like I do with my prospects and the customers I work with. I received a demo of JobAdder. First time I've ever seen it. I hadn't done any research. Hope my boss isn't listening, but I've done no research. And I suddenly got given this demo of this extremely modern, UI or whatever. And I'm the type of person, I want to claw behind that. Let's see what's really. And I remember seeing the voice to text feature, and it could be as simple as, I think the example I was shown, someone calls in, you need to add a note. Leisha's called in, she wants an update on the sales director position with whatever. And that was it. And I was kind of, that's cool. Then it got me thinking, and I'm going to give someone a shout out who I haven't mentioned to you before. One of the best recruiters I've worked with, and I'm sure she'll message me after this because she definitely listens to your podcast, is a lady called Sophie Sever, who obviously worked at Finlay James for years. And I actually thought of the scenario of someone like her or myself when we used to do visits to London. We used to say it's like speed dating. It'd be the 7 a.m. train, you hit London at 9, back to back. And you had that buzz, like you're saying, you will have had it. That's what I get a kick out of doing. It's networking, we're helping people, and I remember at the end of the day, you'd be scribbling all your notes, or if you were fortunate enough to have a laptop back then, you'd take your laptop, type all these notes on a Word doc, back to the office or in the hotel that evening. Right, I've got to do 2 hours worth of admin. And the first time I saw voice to text, and no one even said this to me, I thought that right there takes that 2 hours admin. It's gone straight away. And I know I just touched on it early with yourself because I can picture you using it. But that's where I thought straight away, not just in an office setting where, okay, it's cool. It's obviously going to save you time. Everyone knows that. I don't know the statistics. It's like 7 times quicker to speak in something that is to type it. That's public knowledge. Everyone sees it online. But I just thought, not just the quickly adding a note, that whole on the mobile app when you're on the go, just speaking into it. It's so simple, but it's so effective. And I know we were joking earlier. We never actually, if you looked at our WhatsApp history, there's nothing but voice. It's just, we don't actually type anything ever. And we've even said, the thing I love about voice text, obviously the time saving piece, that's the biggest one. Yeah, everyone knows that, the time you get back where you're not typing up notes or whatever. But it's also, it evolves from that. When we talk about sending voice notes, it's the tone of the message as well, but it is the most efficient way to communicate and in the right manner. We all know sometimes the amount of times I get my girlfriend to read one of my emails. I say, how does that come across? Let me download Grammarly and just see the tone of that. Whereas a voice, I do think.
Times have you? And we're not necessarily talking in a work context here. Have you on the receiving end of a text or WhatsApp or an email where you thought, God, that's a bit arsey, and you've gone back to that person, they've gone, no, I was just on the move and I was a bit busy, because intonation cannot. You could use every emoji under the sun. I'm as well as being voice note queen, I am also emoji queen. Anyone that knows me well will verify that. But there's only so many emojis you can use without sounding like you're 5 years old. I think voice is the biggest growth area for recruitment in terms of how we communicate with ourselves internally as internal customers, but most importantly externally. And I was talking to you offline about, one of my proudest guests, as well as obviously yourself and Greg, was Dominic McGregor, who is the ex-CEO of Social Chain. And I never thought for a minute he would respond to a typed message on LinkedIn. I really wanted him to come on to talk about his sobriety journey, because as a younger person, he's obviously grown and sold the most incredible business that everybody knows. And he talks very publicly about sobriety. And as a sober business owner myself, I think it's really important to share testimony that's not just me saying it. I left him a 30-second voice note on LinkedIn. And if anyone's listening to this now and you've not yet done this, I'm telling you, this is why you do it. And I left him a 30-second. I didn't script it. I just thought, I'm just going to, give him my elevator pitch. And I literally said, Dominic, I'm a huge fan of yours. I'm a business owner and I recruit for the recruitment industry, which is notoriously riddled with drink and drugs potentially. And I think people do aspire to try and have a healthier way of living, especially with what we've gone through. I'd like to share your journey to my community. I know you're not a recruitment business, but would you be interested to come on and share 15, 20 minutes? And he messaged back straight away, yeah, get in touch with my PA. And he came on the show. So, you can use your voice, because I did it. It had energy, it had compassion, whatever my voice had, it made him act.
Do you know what I've just been thinking as you were talking then? That was an amazing case study example of where it's worked really, really well. And I love that. I was almost thinking, I mean, it doesn't matter in what role you're in at the minute, what seniority. I was actually thinking about video then. Video is everything. Everyone is engaging with video. However, not everyone is comfortable with video. And I'll tell you where I'm getting at with this. And they're not. And look, people have become much more confident and comfortable. I was never one who loved video before lockdown. All of a sudden you're on a Zoom every day, cameras on, it's you build your confidence. But I think the thing with voice is you can still offer that personalized approach. It kind of bridges the gap before doing the whole ad hoc jazz hands, this is Alex on a video. It's just a short, snappy, and it makes me even think, and I'm sure the guys over at Odro would have something to say. I'm sure they'd have the statistics on it, but I wonder on the the click rate, the open rate on a voice note as opposed to a video. I'm just thinking on the fly, would you listen to a quick 20-second snippet like you provided, as opposed to a video is a bit more of a, I'll park that, I'll watch it later. I don't know, might be something in that.
I totally agree. And the thing about a voice note is that you can do it while you're walking along. You can do it while you're doing something else, while you're washing up, while you're feeding your children, while you're, typing an email to a client. You've still got your AirPods and you can listen to it. Whereas, and look, I'm a huge advocate of anyone that's brave enough to do video, to share content, and to do it in an authentic way, and not these over sort of produce things. If you've got the money and the funds to do that, that's absolutely great. But I think we all became video weary, which is why Clubhouse grew in absolute prominence at the start of this year, because everyone was sick of it. And the great thing about voice is that you can still do it when you're sat in your pajamas. It doesn't matter. And I think that ultimately when you're doing a video message for somebody, you are still going to be looking at yourself. So you're going to be acting a little bit more than if you're just on a voice note. You're going to sound much more genuine. That's just my opinion on it. And
I think you hit the nail on the head. You don't, it's best just to do it. You don't practice or do 2 takes, because it comes across better. And we can have a completely separate conversation on this. But I actually always like it when people kind of, they stutter or whatever, but it just makes it real. I don't want to hear a script. If someone prospected me and it just sounded, hey, Alex, we listened to your podcast with Alicia. When was it? Last week. It's real. I do.
I think that, to stand out as a recruiter, I think you don't need to do something that's all jazz hands, to use that expression. No. I think you can just do something where, if you are thinking about prospecting the CEO of a company, go and have a look at what they've been doing. If they've got some new software out, have they had an event recently? You leave a voice note going, I was at your event. I thought it was absolutely superb. I'm a specialist recruiter in your market. I know you're really busy. I just wanted to leave you a voice note to see when's the best time or what's the best way to get in front of you. Here's my contact details, get in touch. They're going to listen. Their chances are they're going to listen. A video, I don't know. And look, maybe I should get the guys over at Odro onto the channel. I haven't actually had them on yet, or any video provider, I don't think. But I'm a little bit sort of wary of, without knowing what the data is. But I can only speak from personal experience. I will click on a voice note, but I don't always click on a video because I haven't got time. I just haven't got time to do it.
There's again, that's why I mentioned Odro, because I'm sure they will be able to speak about this at a much higher level than I ever can. But I'm similar to you in that, look, there's a lot of value in doing a video. Absolutely, of course, is because you really can deliver that really personalized touch. But if we're thinking of how it's going to be received, so it got me thinking when you were saying it. If I received a voice note, I'd probably just listen, even if I didn't have my headphones in, quickly hold it to my, it's.
Even if you type back, I have to say, on a personal bugbear, I'll do a voice note and then someone will type back, and I think, no, just leave me a voice note back. I'm only joking. Maybe they're not able to. That's the one downside to voice notes, is that if you're in a meeting, you can't listen to it, but that's absolutely fine. You can do it afterwards. So let's see whether we haven't even prepared for this. So let's bear in mind that your client base is my client base. your audience is my audience. We're all in candidate short markets, and it's not going to change. It's going to be like this for the foreseeable future. And I'm talking, it's usually 7-year cycles. You know, there's not been enough investment in STEM. I'm the parent of 2 teenagers. They've had nothing on their school curriculum about STEM at all, no development, you know, nothing about it. So it's going to be, for the next generation, we're going to be candidate short. So how do you think voice could help us attract passive candidates to market? Do you think there's a way to stand out?
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I've always thought, when it comes to doing, I guess you'd call it like a cold outreach, yeah, whether it's business development, whether it's candidate, you know, you're looking to get candidates, or if you're looking to get new clients, you have to, not just for the recruitment industry, you have to be doing something different. And that's why I think it's interesting you say about voice, because it probably is quite, you know, if you adopted the voice notes like you and I are doing at the minute, you're probably quite an early adopter, as opposed to everyone doing video. And again, I feel like I'm saying everyone stop doing video and do voice. That's not the message at all. But if you want to do something different, which we do, because if said candidate or said CEO is getting 15 videos a day, but only 1 voice note, which, you know, it's that sort of methodology. And you've got to think, I mean, you've got children, so you'll be better to comment than me, but I'm still fairly young, so I can probably relate to it. But how do we communicate? You know, how do I communicate with my friends? Even I've got nephews, nieces who are in their teens. How do they communicate? It's voice note. So how are they in the future going to engage with recruiters? How are they going to engage with employers? I'll tell you what, it won't be by here's a JD that's 3 pages long. Make sure you've got the skills that the algorithm's just plugged in there. And no, that will be gone. And I can't wait for that to be gone, to be honest.
Me too. I mean, I'm a huge believer in adopting what the next generation are using, because ultimately we all need to think about future talent pools. We all need to think about, you know, those future recruiters for me, you know, future technology people, future, whether it's finance, legal, whatever it might be. And generally speaking, they are not using email. They're not even using Facebook or LinkedIn. Really, they're probably using LinkedIn to purely come on to look for a job. But they're using TikTok, Snapchat. You know, they're just.
What will be interesting? I don't use TikTok or Snapchat, but I obviously am an advocate for a good piece of tech. What will be really interesting, I've seen loads of people talking about this on LinkedIn, doing polls, and I've not done a poll myself on it, but what's going to happen to CVs? Are they gone?
Wow.
There might be something in it, but do you know what? When I fast forward in my mind 5-10 years time, presenting yourself over a video, and I'm sure people like, you know, Audro Hinchfield will be like, that is the future. Yeah. I can see, you know, that there might be a need to be a bit of both, but to have a 2-page long CV that's words, it does just seem so archaic and dinosaur-esque. If you're like, you know, I can't see that surviving.
Alex, I know that you obviously don't stalk me on LinkedIn, because I mentioned to you offline a couple of posts that I shared and you haven't seen them, so you're clearly not, for some reason, on my algorithm. But I did comment on a very good friend of mine was talking about CVs. Now, she obviously doesn't do Rec to Rec, she recruits in a white collar sector, and she was saying that, you know, are CVs still valid, and should people have this on it and this and that? And my reply was, CVs are dead. And why is anybody even asking for a CV? And the reason I say that, and then the retort was, well, you know, we understand it from a recruitment point of view. And I said, no, hang on, stop and think. If you are in a candidate short market, which presumably most of my listeners are, very, very unlikely anybody isn't candidate short now. If you ask your candidate to put a CV together, what is the biggest risk you're creating? They're going to send the CV to somebody else. And if that then happens, you've just then at least halved your chance of placing them. So if let's say, oh, this would be great, but let's just say you turned around to me and said, oh, Leisha, I think I'm going to come back into the recruitment market. And I said, brilliant. Are you talking to anybody else? No, great. Okay, let me interview you. I'll understand what you're about. I've got your LinkedIn profile. I don't need anything else, because I'm going to have all that information available. Don't talk to anybody else. Let me go, you know, you don't want everybody at JobAdder knowing that you're looking for a new job. And I'm sorry, he's not looking for a new job, JobAdder. He's just an example. But if I then said to you, right, I need you to send me your CV, you might think, oh, hang on a second, I still know Joe Blogs. They work in that brilliant agency. I'll tell you what, I'll send it to Leisha and then I'll send it to them. 50-50 chance now of placing you. Now I'm thinking, it's true.
That's really, really, really interesting. And again, just to reiterate, I'm not on the market, but that is really interesting. You know what? Because I was just thinking then, if I were looking and I went to, say, you and another Rec to Rec or another recruitment, whoever it may be, if one asked me to go and get a CV, I'm thinking of another angle here. If one asked me to go and get a CV and the other said, look, I've spent an hour with you. I'll just use your LinkedIn. To be honest, the one who's asked the CV, as nice and as great as they were, I'm probably just going to think, do you know what? Have I got time to be typing a CV? You know,
and now I'm mindful, and I am very mindful listener that for if you recruit lawyers or you recruit, you know, I don't know, actuaries or something like that, maybe they do want to go and do CV. Maybe it's something that you need them to, you know, have a lot more detail than a CV, a LinkedIn profile. But that's what your interview should be about. That your interview should be compiling their biography. So you don't need a CV. Maybe it's the way I was trained back in the 90s by the amazing Bill Borman. We were trained in, this is showing how old I am, to not ever send a CV out. If you then had to send a CV to get an interview, you had failed to consult your client properly.
Yeah, but it's right, because there's no story that goes with the CV. A CV is just full of employer titles and dates. Now, I'm thinking there must be something to bridge the gap. Look, I get it. You're going to need something to prove that this was employed by between those dates, but there must be a better way. Or maybe that's the future of a CV. It's just literally half a page. This is proof, confirmation of the businesses I worked for. That's it. You don't need that. That's just for HR to log somewhere and save. This is Alex. This is what I'm about. Here's a 2-minute about me. You let me know. Do you want to speak to me? All of a sudden, that energy, we want to speak to them.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I totally agree with you. But I mean, look, everything you've said there, you can do on your LinkedIn profile. You can have a little promo video. Yeah. You've got your 30-second intro video. If you're not using that yet, why are you not using that? Because trust me, it's great. And endorsements, you know, that there's absolutely no reason nowadays to have a CV, in my opinion. I know that's a divisive comment. Not everyone's going to agree with me, but hey, I'm Marmite anyway. So there you go. Well, there you go. He's not on the market, just in case anyone's interested. Please be reassured, everybody at JobAdder. Oh, I knew it'd be high energy. Yeah,
no, it's been great. It's flown by as well. I feel like we've put the worlds to right.
Yeah. We could carry on doing it, but you do have a job to do, and so do I at some point today. Thank you so much for joining us today, Alex. It's been an absolute pleasure for all the listeners on the Recruiters Recruitment podcast.
Thanks for having me.